Yo, what is good, everybody? I hope we all had a fantastic weekend. This is a pretty big video here today. There's a lot of money making opportunities all across the market, as well as the markets are now at a spot where we can narrow down the scenarios to see where the market's really headed for that next macro move. And to kind of give a hint, to the upside, it's 430 on SPY, and to the downside, 250 to 295. So trust me, this is a video you want to see so you can really understand and be ready for whatever happens in the markets, because there's a lot of money to be made. So with all that being said, we're just going to get into it. Make sure to share the video some love, give it a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So, to start off here, we got oil. Not too much to say. It's still consolidating, still in that range. I'm biased to the upside. That's what I've been saying. Just because, this is... the way it's structured is not really something you would see during continuation to the downside, but it is possible if we enter that recessionary period and you see that demand for oil start to collapse. That would probably send it down to 40 at the minimum, but to the downside from here it would be 60, and to the upside I've been saying I'm looking over probably over 100, 90 region to over 100. So keep an eye on this thing. Once it gets to 83, 84, it's pretty much set for upside. So on to natural gas. We made a lot of money on this thing. I made 7K on it today in shares and futures. So I'm going to show you some stuff from the Discord so you can really see how everything went to play, and I'm going to probably spend a little time on this just so you can you'll learn some things. Just trust me and just watch a little. So we've been waiting for this setup for a very long time. We've been waiting since pretty much all the way back here to short this for that guaranteed short. So the 22nd to the 5th, the 3rd, well, I guess the 2nd of March, that's when we started our short. So, that's like a week, a little over a week, I believe. So, patience paid with this one, and it dropped natural gas dropped 13% overnight, pretty much. And the leveraged ETF we were in cold ran 26-27% today. You don't see moves like that very often. This rarely goes over 10% in either direction. So we caught a disgusting move, and as a result, I personally made 7,000 on this one. So I'm going to show you those messages from the Discord. So this was the tricky thing here. So we had these 5 waves up. After 5 waves up, you get a correction, and if you get these 5 waves up in the last wave of a bigger move, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you get that correction that starts. Now this was pretty tricky because we ended up going higher into my target, which I said we missed my target by 3 cents, so maybe we still get up to that target, and that's where we really got annihilated from. So yeah, we got destroyed. And this is where, so I started my short position right here, right on the top of this wick, just because that's where the 5th wave for this area ended, and I caught this short, but then it did this thing, and I just averaged down because I knew this was the 5th and final wave, and we would correct right after, and we really dropped. So going back to the charts, we started our short here, we averaged up, we averaged down, and then we sold it today on this wick. So I was waiting for this capitulation candle. This is when really you get this final last push from one side, and after the majority of the move. So what we had, I believe it was on the 30-minute that I was watching it. So yeah, you can see these massive wicks, or maybe even the 15-minute. I forget which one it was, but regardless, you can see you have this big wick, pretty decent sized candle with this wick, and that's where I sold and took profits, and I actually went long for this C wave, and that's what I've been saying. So back up here, this is what the structure is supposed to look like. You get your A down, you B wave up, that B wave bounce, and then your C to continue that move. So that's what I'm positioning myself long for. I'm still holding my cold shares, which I'm up a seriously good amount. And yeah, for natural gas, it's really at an important spot here. So I don't really like how wave 1 is so much shorter than wave 5. Normally you'll see some symmetry, so that's why that was a pretty big reason why I shorted at this candle, because you can see it's pretty symmetrical in length here. This candle, so you can see it's like exactly the same in length pretty much, and then it did this thing, so that was a little weird. and it's kind of making me question this downside price action. But regardless, this is what we should see: a bounce into this region where the golden pocket to the golden pocket to the 50% retrace of this high. So you can see this range that I'm drawing to this bottom. It should bounce up into this region for the B wave, and then continue and go down into the golden pocket of this entire move up. So it's a little wonky just because of this wave being so short compared to these two, but we will see. We made a lot of money today, and I am looking for that bounce to continue, and I would start shorting in this region. So a lot of money to be made. Trust me, join the Discord if you really want to see how this all plays together, and just kind of, I guess, really just kind of dissect the market and how it moves, why it moves, and why it does what it does. So on to DXY. Very tricky. We're kind of looking at downside, but it's not. It's just kind of going sideways. You have this wedge, but you can see it's staying sideways. So that correlation between US dollar and the markets have really fallen off. I mean, it used to be like cent for cent almost. Like this thing would go up like this, and the markets would go down like that. So that correlation has fallen off pretty hard, but in a bigger picture, it really does kind of have more relevance. So that's why it's kind of nice to understand when it's probably going to get a big shift. So I'm looking for a bigger shift to the downside, but it's being weird. Normally you would see direct continuation out of a wedge, and it's staying sideways. So I'm being a little skeptical of this, but my main kind of like scenario I'm looking for is that downside, probably to test support at this past resistance. So we'll see. DXY is a tricky one right now, but a wedge is a wedge, so I would expect some more downside. Apple, it cannot break this fib resistance for its life, so if it does, it's going to fill that gap. If it doesn't, there's, I believe, there's some gap to the downside. I guess there's actually not. So very interesting spot. The big thing to look for is this gap, but it cannot break over this fib resistance, and yeah, very interesting here. The 4-hour MACD just crossed up, so it has momentum in the favor of the bulls, and I guess you do have one gap down here. So actually, you could even potentially see something like this, comes down, fills the gap, and then you go up, but very tricky spot. It just cannot break that fib resistance. So keep an eye on this thing. If you want to see how I do it out, this is how I do it out. Give me a second here. So yeah, these are the points in which I do it from. So not too much to say, just need to break that fib resistance, and it can get to that gap fill. Tesla, we're looking for this drop. It's really stalling here, and that's not a surprise, as Tesla really likes to do that. And a good example of that is you can see back here, last year in August, this thing held off a drop for like a month. You can see the MACD, the momentum started to fall off very sharply here, and this was just a big period of distribution, and you finally broke some crucial supports, and it got annihilated. So it likes to stall in these periods of where the price action should be shifting along with the momentum. So the momentum has really shifted here, and just think to yourself, we have gone up so much. If it's a major squeeze, we really called this whole move up. We started getting bullish at 101, and then it just had to break this region right here with this circle, and it was off to the races. And we said it's going to find some big resistance around here, because one, this is a supply zone. You have a major resistance here, which used to be a big support. You have this fib resistance right here. You also have this trend line resistance. It was overbought, so that's when we turned bearish, and since then it's been dropping, but it really has not dropped that much. This is not the drop I'm looking for. And another big thing is the daily MACD has turned down, and the momentum is seriously starting to shift hard here. So I'm not a bull anymore on Tesla for the time being, but I got my eye on this area right here, right around here. So that's what I'm looking for, and from there, if it can hold support, we can go up towards 300. So keep an eye on Tesla. Not really the best place to be a bull anymore. Amazon, we were looking for this. So originally, after this breakout, we were looking for this gap to get filled, And once that gap got filled, we started looking towards the downside, and just kind of like we were just waiting it out. We weren't really sure if we wanted to go sideways, and I said it probably needed to go sideways, at least consolidate sideways at the very least, just because this is a massive move, and it just you can't do this. You can't just have this massive spike and then come down and have zero consolidation and then just keep spiking up, because this was a massive move. It wasn't sustainable. So we're getting that consolidation, and it can start turning bullish soon. But I would probably wait a little longer just to kind of see it turn up, kind of break that downturn resistance, and yeah, we'll just give it a little more time. But it's starting to look bullish again, especially with that MACD crossing over to the upside on the 4 hour. So on the daily, I haven't looked at it on the daily. Yeah, it's starting to curl, so you can see there's not really a confirmed shift in the macro direction of Amazon, at least yet. So we'll be watching it. We got some buyers will come in around just under 90, and that's what we said. We're probably going to see some buyers and some support coming in starting around 90 to the high 80s. So that's where we are now. Still just kind of waiting a little bit longer. You got some gaps down here which are going to act as incentive to get filled to the downside. So doesn't hurt to wait. Go trade some other stuff. No need to trade this if you don't have to. Biotech, interesting spot here. So normally this moves with the general market, and SPY moved up today, and this did not. So that was kind of interesting to see. And if you remember, we were talking about how a few weeks ago we were like, this thing is about to go on a major move here, and we would probably come up and test these previous support region for a 20-30% run. And since that low here, it's up 45%. So that's a massive run here. Pretty much just what we were looking for, back into resistance. So very interesting spot here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback here off of these previous supports where it's pretty likely there are people who are just kind of bag holding because they bought at these supports, and once it broke under, they were just kind of waiting for some kind of recovery. So people trying to get out at break even, some people taking profits after a pretty decent run here. Yeah, doesn't hurt to wait here with this one. Biotech is at an interesting spot here because it's at a pretty big support, and if you remember, we were looking for a head and shoulder kind of formation, and it wasn't even able to pull off the right shoulder. It just kept going. So interesting spot here. If it breaks this big support, which it has held for a really long time, to be honest, you could see some horrendous downside. So keep an eye on this thing. This pattern, this is bound to break at some point. It's not how the market works. You can't just only go up in this kind of an uptrend. It needs to break up or down out of this pattern, and this line seems really far away, too far away. So I'm looking for this line to get broken at some point within the next few weeks, couple months, and if that happens, you're gonna see some even more upside with LabD. On the semiconductors, not too much to say here. We just the big spot we've been talking about is this region here with this rectangle. If it doesn't hold the previous highs here, so honestly it's more like up here, it really needs to hold these previous highs, where this is just an ABC, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5 ABC, and then you get 5 more down. So and that would basically be the same length as this move. So you know, we're talking some massive move to the downside here. You get the point what I'm trying to say here. So if this is an ABC, we will break. Okay, so this is how you will know if it's an ABC or not, or if it's 5 waves up. So wave 4 cannot go into the territory of wave 1. So I think this is a kind of a complicated correction here. I think this may be an expanded correction where this is A, B, C, and the B wave goes higher than the start of the A wave. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but the point is here, 4 cannot go into the territory of wave 1. So I'm counting this peak as the wave 1 and not this peak. And you can actually see it held this peak as well. So just this general area, if it holds it, you can get one more major push. And if this happens, it'll be safe to take a massive short. I'm not a financial advisor. All this risk is up to you. These are just my ideas and opinions, but I will be taking a massive short position. If we get one more high up, I'll just be waiting for my target to get hit, which would sit around probably 500. So doesn't hurt to wait. If it breaks below this region, you can start seeing that major downside. And in that case, the big one to be playing is SOXS. You got some gaps to fill to the upside. I'm talking like 200, 300% away. So keep an eye on this thing. It's under a big support here, which is, that's something you gotta keep in mind. But, just like Biotech, it moved back up into that previous support. So I would not be surprised at all if we get a move back up into that previous support, which from here is like 50%. So keep an eye on this thing. I don't necessarily think this upside is done, but it broke a massive support, like a really, really big, significant support. So it's a little scary. It looks like this is the trend line to be watching. If it doesn't hold that, you could see some more bleeding. And you just broke out of this wedge formation here and this downward channel, so it should break up pretty high from here, but it would have done it sooner, which is why I'm a little skeptical. So keep an eye on this thing. If it can hold this support, you can definitely see some more upside and fill these gaps up here. The fix, not too much to say. We hit that golden pocket of this wedge, these two lines right here. So wedges, when you break out of wedges, it usually goes to the 50% retrace for this golden pocket of the wedge, and then whatever happens from there just depends on the wave structure. So from here, just kind of looking to hold this support here. There's a lot of support in this region, the 18s, I guess. So keeping an eye on the 18s region, but if you get that new low, you could see some melting up in the market. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this thing, really just watching that new low for now. So on to SPY, we're going to take another look at the Discord messages, because we saw this whole move coming. So so here it is. So if this line gets reclaimed, it should go vertical, because there are a lot of short positions in this. And you'll see I'm going to show you some divergences, which is why I thought it would happen. It had a disgusting move to the upside for like 2 or 3 days straight. It's what we were looking for. It should go vertical. And the reason for this was that we had massive divergences. So that's when the MACD is making this move to the upside, with the MACD is moving up while the price is going lower. And the other thing was that we were below a major support that was really, really steep. And if you want to break a support like this, it has you gonna get a drop like straight off a cliff, basically. That's not what was happening, and the MACD was not supporting that either. So I was pretty bullish in the scenario. I was looking for 405 to 408, and we stopped just below 408. So now I'm going to show you those scenarios, and whatever happens after this is going to be a signal for what will be the next move going into the future. So I think I've kind of said what I wanted to say for SPY right now. You can see we rejected a pretty big trend line too. So we're going to go on to ES futures, where the waves are a lot more clear, because this is extremely difficult to chart. You can't really see any structure, so I'm just going to go really short to kind of stress this point here. This is the 1 minute chart, and there's barely anything to work with here. You'll see what I'm talking about. We're just going to go on to ES, and I'm going to point out these scenarios. So the first scenario we're looking at, you kind of got to just ignore all these other lines. There's a lot of scenarios, so I'm going to be keeping all of these up. So the first one, if we get one more high here, we are likely going to get this. So if we get one more high, so this is, you're literally able to, if all we need is one more high, and we'll know if we are about to go to 430 on SPY, just because it makes one more high. I promise you, you are seriously missing out on a lot if you aren't bothering to learn Elliott Wave, because with Elliott Wave you can literally predict the future several ups and downs, several directions ahead. So we get this one more high, we're likely going to get a wave 2 and then continue up higher. Now, if we don't get that, what can happen is we get this next low here. So, zooming out again so that you can see this, what we would be getting is this right here, this ABC. So, this ABC would probably be a little longer just because you want to look for the symmetry in these waves here. You can see this is like steepness, the time it takes for the wave to play out. There's a lot of symmetry, so the more symmetry you can have in your waves, the better, and that would take us to around 3800 on ES. So if you break that, what you would probably be looking at is 5 waves down. So if that is the case, we would likely start moving to under 300 on spot. That is insane. That's a lot of money to be made. And just I kind of want to show this. This is kind of like an interesting spot here with these 2 lines. This was another reason I was bullish. We were kind of under this support, and we had those divergences too. So really interesting spot. You know, maybe we even like, it's a massive range, but maybe you like bounce up here. It's an interesting spot. Mostly these are just 2 lines to be aware of. So anyways, putting everything back up, there's basically and yeah, so I don't think I actually said this, but after this ABC, if it's an ABC, and so after we get down to 3800 and you break wave 1 region, so the wave 1 region right here, so you have to invalidate this scenario by getting above wave 1, because as I said, I believe it was in natural gas that I said something, I forget which one I said it in, wave 4 cannot go into the territory of wave 1. If it does, it's not wave 4 anymore, and instead it's a new wave count. So a lot of things to kind of keep in mind here. I'm telling you, it's a really messy area, so you have to be paying attention to all of the scenarios, just all of the levels. So there's really 3 scenarios. 1, we make one more high, probably tomorrow, and then you get a correction, and then you continue higher up into 430. Or we go straight down from here into a new low, and then we go up to 430. Or we go straight down from here, get a bounce, go lower, and that would take us towards under 300. So those are really the scenarios that I'm looking at on SPY. I really don't know which one it's going to be yet, just because we don't have that answer yet. So that's what we're going to be waiting on. I would expect to have that answer by the end of this week, if not next week. You know, you do not need to trade if there's no trades that you can really clearly see. There's just no reason to do it. That's just not smart to do. So I'm going to be trading natural gas. I mean, it's paying me well, so I'm just being patient with these setups. And as an example, for patience, I waited like whatever it was, a week, 2 weeks, just to catch this one drop, which was 13% in one day, which rarely happens. So patience pays, I'm telling you. Just be patient. There's no reason to trade if you don't need to. Just wait for our answers. So that's where I'm going to leave this video. If you watched all of them through, make sure to show it some love, give it a like, subscribe, and peace out, guys.